How's it going, everyone? The PlayStation Store is running its New Year New Deal sale, and I am here to look at some of the deals under $5. Now, these are deals under $5. We're not going to be going under $3 or under $2. I will do a separate video on the super cheap deals that you guys seem to like, and again, the under $5 threshold is a lot of the stuff that we regularly cover. I get it. I see the comments already. Oh my god, these are the same games again. Well, guess what? I said everybody owned God of War Ragnarok in my recent PlayStation Plus video, and a lot of people in the comment section came out and said, yo, we don't own God of War Ragnarok. This is a great addition. That's the same case with these deals videos. If you want to say everybody owns these games, well, in reality, everybody does not. So, with that being said, let's get right into it, and let's start off with a game that I always talk up. Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition is 85% off for $449, a tremendous game. An open world action title that sees some comparisons to GTA, but really it's so much more than that. It has a more focused and contained open world and a bigger focus on its hand-to-hand combat that I think is done really well. Soundtrack is awesome. As far as Sleeping Dogs go, one of the most underrated elements of this game is the excellent soundtrack. Like, I think the soundtrack is absolutely fantastic. Good voice acting, good story. Overall, just a really well done game. You got the DLC here as well for $4.49. No-brainer there. Definitely worth a pickup. Next up, we got Wolfenstein: The New Order, 75% off for $4.99. Machine Games is the studio behind this game, and they're in the news a little bit these days as they just put out the Indiana Jones game that was really well received, but Wolfenstein, in my opinion, is where Machine Games really cooked. Wolfenstein was a great first-person shooter. Narrative gets a little bit wild, you know, Wolfenstein's kind of about that, but it's a really well-done game. I wish we got a PS5 upgrade on it, but for $4.99, there's a really solid pickup, and kind of insane to think about that this game is north of a decade old. It's actually going to be 11 years old in just a couple of months, which is insane. I remember picking this game up like right when it came out. But yeah, $4.99 on that, solid pickup there. Evil Within, 75% off for $4.99. Another game that's about a decade old, a little over a decade old at this point. Great survival horror title. Unfortunately, probably never going to see an Evil Within 3, although, you know, with Tango getting picked up by Krafton, it is possible, although I think Microsoft still owns the rights to Evil Within, so that's something they gotta work out. But $4.99 for Evil Within is a great deal. Standard, you know, third-person shooter, but from an atmosphere and tone standpoint, this game is really well done. Story's pretty good, I think, for that price. Really solid pickup there. Castlevania, Requiem, Symphony of the Night, and Rondo of Blood is 80% off for $3.99, a collection that I constantly go back to in terms of recommendations. This is fantastic. I mean, Symphony of the Night is one of the best Castlevania games of all time, and one of the best received games, literally, of all time, and Rondo of Blood here as well for $3.99. Great pickup for sure, and 80% off, definitely a sizable discount on that. Just Cause 3 XXL Edition, 86% off for $4.19. One of those games that's such an easy recommendation if you want a game that you could just kick back and relax with. I've often been linking a lot of games to being like podcast games, in the sense that you don't have to think too much while playing them. You can listen to a podcast at the same time, watch YouTube videos, even watch like a television series or something like that if you're about that. Like, I know people that have watched entire anime series while playing video games, so I know people do that, but I wouldn't be sitting down and playing like a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth while watching something or listening to something. Just Cause 3, you're not gonna get this impactful narrative with the game. It's really all about the nonsensical open world mayhem-infused gameplay, and Just Cause does that incredibly well. Technically speaking, like, there are some technical issues. It was really bad at launch, but a lot of it's been ironed out. But for $4.19 with the DLC, Just Cause 3, definitely a good pickup there. Darksiders Warmastered Edition, 80% off for $3.99. Darksiders is a really well-done action game that hopefully we haven't seen the last of. I think it's a really well-done game from an action standpoint. The puzzles are pretty well done, and the thematics and the story of the game is pretty good. I remember when the game was coming out, a lot of people were saying, oh, it's God of War crossed with Legend of Zelda, which I can understand why that comparison was made. However, God of War and Legend of Zelda are just such at an elite caliber that Darksiders isn't, it's just not at that level. It's at a couple levels below that, but it's a well-done game, and for $3.99, I do think it's a worthwhile pickup, so definitely would give that a shout. Dragon's Crown Pro, 80% off for $3.99. While I do think this is Vanillaware's weakest game, I still think it is a damn good game. Dragon's Crown is a really well-done action RPG, beat-em-up gameplay. That visual style is still excellent. That Vanillaware is known for. You've got a pretty good soundtrack in there as well. $3.99 is a great price for it, and definitely the perfect price to pay. And again, while it is Vanillaware's weakest game, considering that Vanillaware's other games are all excellent, that's not really saying much. Like Muramasa, Odin Sphere, 13 Sentinels, and Unicorn Overlord are all tremendous games. That Dragon's Crown Pro is still a solid game, all things considered. Next up, we have a Blasphemous. If you're looking for a hardcore action title, this is a pretty solid one. Throwback visual style, a brutal action platform with skilled hack-and-slash combat set in a nightmare world. Explore, upgrade your abilities, and perform savage executions on the hordes of enemies that stand between you and your quest to break eternal damnation. Really well-received game, and if you're looking for a challenging action title, you'll find that with Blasphemous for sure. Next up, we got Descenders, 80% off for $4.99. This game was really, really well received. An overwhelmingly positive reception for the Steam reviews reception, 14,000 reviews and 95% positive, a 78 on Metacritic. Descenders is an extreme downhill free riding for the modern era with procedurally generated worlds and where mistakes have real consequences. Will you lead them to glory and become the next legendary Descender? You've got procedurally generated worlds where you can take on different jump slopes and hill bombs every time you play. Freestyle bike controls control every subtle movement of your rider with an in-depth physics system made for slick whips and scrubs. A rogue bike earns special mutators each time you play, and work out which abilities work best for your riding style. Build your rep, a fully featured online rep system, fully licensed soundtrack as well, and become the next Descender throughout. $4.99 for the game, thought that was worth a mention. This War of Mine, the final cut, is 75% off for $4.99. One of the most impactful video games that I think I've ever played in terms of really emotionally gripping me, and 11-Bit Studios does a tremendous job at that. It's a war story, however, this War of Mine tells you the more grim realities of war. You know, most video games, and for a video game to be fun, going the route of you being this overpowered soldier in the midst of war works great. This War of Mine, on the other hand, you play as a group of civilians trying to survive in a besieged city struggling with the lack of food, medicine, and constant danger. From snipers and hostile scavengers, during the day you need to focus on maintaining your hideout, crafting, training, and taking care of your survivors. At night, take one of your civilians on a mission to scavenge for items that'll help you stay alive. It's inspired by real-life events. Control your survivors and manage your shelter, craft weapons, alcohol, beds, or stoves, anything that helps you survive. Make decisions, an often unforgiving and emotionally difficult experience, and randomized world and characters every time you start a new game. Charcoal-styled aesthetics, and yes, aesthetically, the game is gorgeous to complement the game's theme, and all updates and free expansions added along the way to create the final cut. For $4.99, great pickup here, definitely give that a look at that price point, a slam dunk. Give a shout to Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Talk about, like, the dichotomies of gaming. This War of Mine into Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, but Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl was a disappointing game, and the idea of having all of these Nickelodeon characters, iconic characters, in a Smash Brothers style experience, that sounded incredible. However, it ended up being fairly mediocre, but for $4.99, I still think this is a solid pickup. You've got so many iconic characters in there. Cast from the Nickelodeon universe face off with all-stars from SpongeBob SquarePants, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Loud House, Danny Phantom, Real Monsters, The Wild Thornberrys, Hey Arnold, Rugrats, and more, and to determine the ultimate animation dominance. Playable characters, again, include a wide variety of them. 20 themed levels. Each character offers a completely different and innovative style of play. If you're into the characters, you'll probably end up having a good time with it, and $4.99 is a great price for it, I think. Next up, we got Gauntlet Slayer Edition. The classic Gauntlet 4-player co-op action gameplay returns in a completely new experience. Battle the endless hordes of foes as you and your friends fight for treasure and glory via both online co-op or local multiplayer. Now, the game came out back in 2014, so at this point it is a decade old, so it's going to be a little bit dated, but if you're looking for a cheap dungeon crawling co-op action RPG, you'll find it with Gauntlet Slayer Edition. Next up, we got Cat Quest, 75% off for $324. One of those games that, you know, acts as a pretty chill game to play. You know, a lot of you guys are into your super gritty, mature action titles. Cat Quest offers something a little bit more casual and relaxing, but given that you know, it's a charming game, accessible to just about anyone, and I think even if you're the most ardent of gamers playing every regular release, sometimes it's nice to kick back and play something a bit more casual, and I feel like Cat Quest does offer that for $3.24, a solid pickup there. Moonlighter, 75% off for $4.99, an interesting marriage of games and action RPG with roguelite elements following the everyday routines of Will, an adventurous shopkeeper that dreams of becoming a hero. Run your own shop, fight with style, restore the village, craft and enchant, get the loot, and explore various dungeons. A sequel is in development as well, and for $4.99, not a bad price point there. And then, of course, gotta give a shout to Batman Return to Arkham, 75% off for $4.99. The heyday of Rocksteady, you know, when Rocksteady wasn't absolutely washed like they are now, and it does seem like Batman Arkham might be coming back, given that, you know, the ending of Suicide Squad and everything like that. But, you know, Arkham Asylum and Arkham City are absolutely tremendous games at this point. Most of you guys do own them, but if you don't, they're both phenomenal games and absolutely should be in your library. I gotta do another playthrough of Arkham Asylum and Arkham City here sometime in the future. Just a lot of games. Whenever I do these deals videos and I talk about these games, like talking about Sleeping Dogs off the top, I want to replay Sleeping Dogs at some point for sure. And Batman Arkham always going to be in the category of wanting to do a replay of that here shortly. Last time I did a replay of Batman Arkham was probably like 2021, 2022, around that range. But man, the games are so good and worth playing every couple of years. But that'll do it for me. Again, a lot of great deals under the price of $5. I'll leave links to all of these in the description box below, and stay unlocked. We'll definitely get more videos out covering this sale. Not as big as the holiday sale, but definitely some good stuff all around. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.